Imagine walking into a lab where scientists are moving living cells with sound, no scalpels, no chemicals swirling in flasks, just invisible waves of vibration gently pushing, pulling, and reshaping life at the microscopic level. This isn't sci-fi. Right now, researchers are using specific frequencies to herd cells into patterns, guide stem cells, and even influence how tissues grow. In some experiments, sound is helping break apart tumors. In others, it's being used to open the blood-brain barrier so medicines can slip into protected regions of the brain. For thousands of years, humans have believed that sound can heal, calm, or transform us. But today, we can finally watch sound shaping cells in real time, captured by high-speed microscopes and powerful imaging. In this video, we're going to explore the sound that transforms cells, how it works, what's real, what's hype, and how it could change medicine and your understanding of your own body forever. To understand how sound can transform cells, we first need to redefine what sound actually is. Sound isn't just what your ears hear, it's vibration, mechanical waves passing through matter. Your bones feel it, your organs feel it. On a microscopic level, your cells feel it too. Every second, your body is full of vibrations. Your heartbeat, blood flow, the rumbling of digestion, even the subtle movements of your cytoskeleton, the scaffolding inside each cell. When external sound enters the body, it becomes mechanical stress and motion at tiny scales. Throughout this video, we'll explore how those vibrations are sensed by cells, how scientists use sound in the lab and clinic, and what that might mean for the future of medicine. If you're curious about the real science behind ideas like healing frequencies, stay with me to the end. And if you enjoy deep, evidence-based explorations like this, consider subscribing and hitting the bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Let's start with something you can actually see, cymatics, the study of how vibration shapes matter. If you've ever seen sand or water form intricate patterns on a vibrating plate, that's cymatics in action. When a surface vibrates at specific frequencies, standing waves form, regions that move a lot and regions that barely move at all. Particles like sand migrate away from the high motion zones and settle into the calm areas, forming geometric shapes that change as the frequency changes. In the lab, scientists use high-precision speakers and plates coated with tiny particles, fluids, or even cells to visualize these patterns. It's not magic, it's physics. The same math that describes musical instruments also describes these shapes. Now, imagine replacing grains of sand with living cells. Suddenly, sound isn't just making pretty patterns, it's rearranging life. Cymatics gives us a visible, intuitive gateway into how vibration can organize matter, and it sets the stage for understanding how sound can structure tissues. So how does a cell, a tiny blob of living material, actually feel sound? The key concept is mechanotransduction, the process by which cells convert mechanical forces, stretching, compression, shear, into biochemical signals. Cells aren't just squishy bags. They contain a tensioned framework called the cytoskeleton, linked to proteins that span the cell membrane and connect to the outside world. When a sound wave passes through tissue, it creates regions of pressure and movement. That motion tugs on these structures. Ion channels open or close. Protein complexes change shape. This can activate signaling pathways inside the cell, alter gene expression, and ultimately change behavior, division, migration, differentiation. Scientists study this using tiny vibrating probes, acoustic chambers, and specialized microscopes. They can watch cells stretch, realign, or cluster in response to controlled vibrations. In other words, sound becomes chemistry. A physical wave from the outside world is translated into internal decisions about growth, repair, or even cell death. One of the most dramatic examples of sound transforming cells comes from medical ultrasound. You might know ultrasound as a safe imaging tool for viewing a fetus, but in modern medicine, it's becoming far more than a camera. At low intensities, ultrasound waves gently vibrate tissues, allowing us to create images. At higher intensities, they can heat or even mechanically disrupt cells. High intensity focused ultrasound view lets doctors concentrate sound energy deep inside the body without cutting the skin. This can be used to ablate or destroy tumor cells in the prostate, liver, or uterus. Researchers are experimenting with using pulsed ultrasound to temporarily open the blood-brain barrier, letting drugs or antibodies reach brain regions that were previously inaccessible. Here, the same basic physics applies. Pressure waves trigger mechanical stress on cells. The difference is in dosage, focus, and timing, carefully tuned to either gently nudge biology or aggressively break it apart. Beyond destroying cells, sound can also move them, like microscopic shepherds guiding flocks. This field is called acoustofluidics, using sound waves to manipulate particles, droplets, and cells suspended in fluids. In tiny lab-on-a-chip devices, scientists send ultrasound waves through microchannels. By adjusting the frequency and geometry, they create acoustic standing waves with zones of high and low pressure. Cells migrate towards specific zones based on their size, density, or compressibility. This allows researchers to sort cells without chemicals, separating cancer cells from blood, isolating circulating tumor cells, or concentrating stem cells for therapies. Some setups can even rotate cells in place, stretch them, or fuse them. All of this is done contact-free, using carefully tuned vibrations. In a sense, these microchips are mini cymatic landscapes for living cells, where patterns of sound sculpt patterns of life, enabling cleaner diagnostics and more precise control over cellular populations. If cells can feel sound from the outside, what about sound generated inside your body? Your tissues constantly experience mechanical forces, blood pulsing through vessels, lungs inflating, muscles contracting. These internal vibrations create a biomechanical environment that cells adapt to. For example, bone cells strengthen bone in response to regular loading and vibration. Space agencies like NASA worry that in microgravity, where these forces are reduced, cells and tissues behave very differently, leading to bone loss and muscle atrophy. Some experiments show that applying low-intensity vibrations to bone can stimulate bone-forming cells and slow down loss. Others look at how heart cells synchronize their beat and how mechanical rhythm tunes that behavior. Here, sound and vibration are part of an ongoing conversation between your cells and their environment. Your body's architecture, posture, and movement all shape the mechanical soundscape your cells live in, influencing how they grow, repair, and age over time. One of the most exciting and still emerging frontiers is how mechanical forces, including sound, might influence gene expression and epigenetics. Epigenetics is the layer of chemical markers and structural changes that determine which genes are turned on or off without altering DNA itself. When a cell's environment changes, stiffness, pressure, vibration, its internal architecture shifts. The cytoskeleton connects to the nucleus, where DNA is wrapped around proteins and packed into chromatin. Mechanical stress can alter that packing, affecting which regions of DNA are accessible for transcription. Studies have shown that stretching cells, changing substrate stiffness, or exposing them to specific vibration regimes can nudge stem cells toward bone, fat, or muscle fates. Some of these effects appear to be mediated through epigenetic changes. We're only beginning to understand whether carefully tuned acoustic environments could become tools to reprogram cells indirectly, not by editing genes, but by nudging the physical context in which those genes operate. Sound doesn't just move and stress cells, it can literally tear structures apart. sometimes in useful ways. One key mechanism is cavitation, the formation and violent collapse of microbubbles in a liquid under intense sound. In therapies like lithotripsy, focused shock waves are used to break apart kidney stones. In drug delivery research, tiny gas-filled microbubbles are injected into the bloodstream. When exposed to ultrasound, these bubbles oscillate and can expand and collapse. Their motion exerts intense local forces on nearby cell membranes, temporarily creating pores that allow drugs or genes to slip inside. This process, called sonoporation, can dramatically increase uptake while keeping surrounding tissue relatively intact. However, uncontrolled cavitation can damage cells and tissues. So a major area of research is fine-tuning bubble size, ultrasound frequency, and timing to balance safety and effectiveness, using the raw power of sound at the microscale as a smart, targeted cellular tool. Beyond individual cells, sound can guide how entire tissues and organs develop. During embryonic development, mechanical forces are intertwined with genetics and chemistry, shaping where cells migrate and how structures fold. Researchers are investigating whether controlled acoustic fields can encourage tissue constructs to self-organize more efficiently. In tissue engineering, scaffolds seeded with cells are sometimes exposed to rhythmic mechanical stimulation, including low-frequency vibrations, to promote alignment and maturation. For example, heart tissue grown in the lab can beat more coherently when subjected to mechanical cues that mimic the forces of a real heartbeat. Bone and cartilage constructs respond to loading and vibration by strengthening and organizing. In future biofabrication, we might see acoustic bioreactors, where sound waves help guide complex 3D structures without needing intricate scaffolds everywhere. Instead, patterns of vibration would provide invisible rails, steering cells into position as they build replacement tissues or miniature organs. With all this exciting science, it's important to separate evidence from exaggeration. You've probably seen claims online that certain frequencies can instantly repair DNA or cure any disease just by listening to a track. Here's the crucial distinction. When researchers use sound to transform cells, they precisely control intensity, frequency, exposure time, and location. Often they're delivering sound directly to tissues, fluids, or microdevices, not just playing music in a room. Musical sound can certainly affect mood, stress hormones, heart rate, and breathing. Those, in turn, influence cellular environments indirectly. But that's different from, say, a focused ultrasound beam opening the blood-brain barrier. The real science of sound and cells is powerful because it's specific and measurable. That doesn't make personal experiences meaningless, but it does mean we should be careful about sweeping health claims that skip over doses, mechanisms, and proper clinical testing. So what about things like chanting, singing bowls, or listening to deeply resonant music? Can they transform cells in meaningful ways? The honest answer, not in the direct, targeted manner seen in medical ultrasound or acoustofluidic devices. But that doesn't mean they're irrelevant. Sound that you hear can change your nervous system state. Slow, steady rhythms can entrain breathing. Certain harmonies can reduce perceived stress or anxiety. When your stress hormones drop, inflammation can decrease, blood vessels relax, sleep improves. All of these have downstream cellular effects. Vibration you feel, like a bass note in your chest, can also mechanically stimulate tissues, though this is usually gentle and diffuse. The key is to appreciate both levels, the systemic, whole-person effects of sound on mood and physiology, and the precise local effects of engineered acoustic fields on cells and tissues. Both are real, but they operate through different pathways and on different scales. Looking ahead, the idea of sound-transforming cells opens up a host of futuristic possibilities. Imagine non-invasive brain interfaces where focused ultrasound modulates neural activity with high precision, treating depression or epilepsy without surgery. or personalized cancer treatments where acoustic micro-devices sort tumor cells from blood in real time, guiding therapy decisions. Perhaps rehabilitation clinics where carefully designed vibration regimens help regenerate bone, cartilage, or muscle after injury. Researchers are also exploring ways to combine sound with light, magnetic fields, and nanomaterials, creating multimodal systems that can both sense and control cellular behavior. There are ethical questions too. Who controls these technologies? How do we ensure safety, consent, and access? As with any powerful tool, sound-based biotechnologies will need thoughtful regulation and public understanding. But one thing is clear. The era of using vibration not just to observe life, but to sculpt it has already begun. Let's pull the threads together. Sound is vibration, mechanical waves that pass through your body and down to the cellular scale. Cells sense these forces through mechanotransduction, converting motion into biochemical signals that can alter behavior and even gene expression. We've seen how cymatics gives a visual analogy for how vibration organizes matter, how medical ultrasound and HIFU can image, heat, or destroy cells, and how acoustofluidics lets scientists sort and position cells like microscopic shepherds. We explored how internal vibrations, from heartbeat to movement, help shape tissues, and how mechanical environments influence epigenetics and development. We looked at cavitation and sonoporation as powerful, if risky, tools for drug delivery, and we distinguished between rigorous, targeted uses of sound in medicine and more diffuse, indirect effects from music and everyday soundscapes. The big takeaway: sound truly can transform cells, but the magic lies in specificity, frequency, intensity, timing, and context, all precisely tuned. If this journey into the sound that transforms cells shifted how you think about your body, here's what you can do next. First, stay curious but critical. When you encounter bold claims about healing frequencies, ask, what's the mechanism, what's the dose, and where's the data? Use the concepts from this video: mechanotransduction, ultrasound, acoustofluidics as reference points. Second, pay attention to your everyday soundscape. While your headphones won't focus ultrasound on a tumor, the sounds you surround yourself with can meaningfully influence stress, sleep, and overall physiology, which your cells absolutely feel. If you want more deep dive explorations into the science behind big, almost mystical sounding ideas, make sure you're subscribed, hit the notification bell, and share this video with someone who loves both science and sound. Drop your questions or experiences with sound and health in the comments. I read them, and they directly shape future episodes. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.